I see people's parents that are my age. I'm making more money than what their parents are making, which is kind of cool, but it's kind of humbling at the same time. I don't have like a father figure to be backing me. I'm kind of by myself. So me trying to do that, it's just like, it's scary, but you got to do what you got to do.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the SJ Show, where we discuss maximizing our potential and leveling up in every aspect of life. Today, we have a really special guest with us. He's a successful entrepreneur, started business at 18 and now he's 25, owns a range of businesses and properties around the world. And that being said, let's introduce him. How you doing, Ozzy?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Before we get into it, if you can just give me a really quick 30-second summary, tell the people exactly who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name's Ozzy. I'm a 25-year-old entrepreneur. I started when I was 18, sleeping on the couch. And now I've got a few businesses and I've got a few properties in the UK and in Turkey.
Nice, bro. So tell me a little bit more about the businesses that you have. So what's your main business? What are you doing right now exactly?
So the main businesses that I have right now currently are, I own 2 dry cleaners and I've got a few properties in Turkey and I'm planning to get one here within the next year.
So how did you get started? Like, why are you in laundrettes?
So what happened was that my dad was a tailor and my mum was a tailor as well. So it kind of, I was at uni and it gradually just came to us. So my mum's friend, she owned this business and we were quite close with her. And then she suddenly got cancer. So they offered my mum this opportunity. So at first it was like, I don't know, should we do it? Should we not? And then after that, she was like, why not? Let's just take the risk, see where it goes. We had 0p to our name. So we decided to take a loan out in Turkey and risk it all. And then it just worked out and doing it since 6-7 years now.
Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or I mean, did you always want to own like your own laundry companies? Like when you were younger, like was this the vision that you saw for yourself? Like when you were, I don't know, 15, 16, maybe younger, maybe a little bit older, like what was your vision for yourself? Like what did you want to be?
So at first I knew that I was going to be a businessman because when I was 13 years old in Turkey, we would go to the farm, we'll grab the watermelons and stuff and put it behind the truck. And I'll be going from village to village, shouting the watermelon guys here and making sales literally like that. And then we'd go around to maybe 5-6 villages. And we started off like that. And then also my cousin, he was a farmer, so he went to the markets to sell stuff and he would also put me into it. And what I'll do is make sales like that and then I'll have the money in my hand. It kind of gave me like the confidence to actually start something. And then when I was like 14, 15, I was planning to become an architect, but it didn't turn that way. Then I decided to get into business because my granddad and both of my granddads, one was the first person to bring bricks into the village. And my other granddad has managed to travel 81 cities in Turkey. So it's kind of like a business, kind of comes from the bottom.
Damn, so like for you, business has sort of inbuilt, like you've had that trait from a young age.
I would say so, yeah. And when my dad first came here in 1969, he was already offered a job. That's how he came to this country. And he used to work for Harrods. And back in the day, which is 1969, he used to earn like 500, 600 pounds a week, which is quite a lot of money for
back then, yeah. Now it's nothing.
Yeah, now it's basically nothing, but now it's probably about 2,000, 3,000 pounds a week or something.
So he was doing well.
He was doing well, yeah.
You said something about how when you were a kid, you like, what was it you said? The bed thing? What did you say?
So it's like, we didn't have an actual bed. We had like it's not, I wouldn't even call it a couch. It's just a duvet.
Yeah. So like you said you sort of slept on a couch or something as a kid, right? So would I be correct in thinking that you grew up in quite a tough environment?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% a tough environment where my dad, even though he had these skills, he wasn't working. My mum was the one that was providing for us. She'll tell us stories where she'll be sewing the stuff and then while I'm sleeping, working from home, and then she'll be sleeping while she has me in her hands. So like, I know her story and I want to do something for her, make it better for her. So she's kind of my main motivation in this, to make her live a comfortable life.
Take care of her.
Yeah, basically.
That's really cool. That was actually a question I was going to ask you later, but you'd say that's one of the motivators that like
I would say so,
you.
But there's more than
of course, yeah. We'll get into it. It's really interesting because a lot of guys who do come from these like difficult upbringings and they've not seen wealth from a young age, it tends to push them a lot more. Like like, so for context, we've known each other through university. We were friends. We lived together. So like we've known each other for quite a while. I remember from the first year of uni, like you were always working on the family business. You were always in the family business, you know, helping your mum run the laundrette at the time. So what I want to do is I want to touch upon our second year of university, where I remember your father was a little bit ill and he passed away in second year while we were at uni. And while most of us at university were just having a good time and the only thing that we would worry about was turning up to classes, you had your whole life flipped upside down, where you had to go from being a university student looking to get a business degree to becoming the man of the house, right? Because your father passed. Walk me through the process of how that changed you as a man, how it felt in the moment, and how you took this responsibility. Because I know, and for the people watching at home, you have an older brother, but you're the one who had to take over. So why was it you, and how has that changed you as an individual today?
Well, with my brother, it's like we have different characteristics. So at the end of the day, he does what he does. I do what I need to do. But I felt like I was closer to my mum, that I shared her pain. So what is that? The main motivator was my mum, because she was struggling to make ends meet and stuff. So I had to do something. And so what we did was, when I first started in the second year, when my father passed away in the second year of uni, so I was in a really, really dark place. So I'm trying to study. I got my business. I've got my exams coming up. I've tried to do as much as I can. I've managed to graduate from uni with an okay grade, because I was more focused on the business more than anything. So it's just kind of grinding and creating results. When after I see those results, it kind of motivated me more and made me come out of that dark zone. So when you have more results and you see positivity, that's when things start lifting up, and then you know what you can achieve.
But it's interesting because you were put in a position where you had a choice to sink or swim, right? Like you had to take over the entire house. You had to take over your family business. You could have flopped. You could have gone down a very dark route, especially with the environment and the place that you were living, or you could have swum, which you did, right? What are the characteristics that you had that if someone else was watching and they need to become a successful entrepreneur, that you could share with them for them to also be able to implement?
What I would say is, like, you have to be hardworking, which is quite cliche. But also I believe that you need to have a clean heart when you're doing business, because if you do something bad in business, it always finds a way to come back to you. So I feel like I've seen a lot of people that are like ill in heart and they do business. Yeah, they make short-term money, but then it's never long-term. But the people that I see that have clean hearts, that work hard, then I see them go further, or their money is sustained, rather than the other people when they're, for example, selling drugs or whatnot. They don't end anywhere. So like the prime example is Pablo Escobar. Where did he end up? Even though he made a lot of money, he still ended up dead. So it's more like you need to have a clean heart to get to where you need to get to.
So hardworking, clean heart. Third one
I would say is perseverance, and like you just have to get through it. Like there's gonna be times where it's gonna be very, very difficult for you and you just want to give up, but you just kind of have to keep it going. It's like some days I wake up, I'm like, I can't be bothered to go work, but I have to because it's mine. So people need to get into that mindset of you just got to do it. Like no one else is going to do it for you.
I think that's a really interesting one. The third one is the main one, because perseverance is more important than anything, because it's easy to work when you're motivated. Anyone can work when they're motivated, right? But who can work when the motivation's not there? Because motivation comes and goes, right? It's not like you're motivated 24/7 every single day of the week. But people think, oh, if I'm not motivated today, I'm going to take a day off. And they're the ones who plateau. So I think that's definitely something that every person should have. If you don't have perseverance in any realm of life, like you're just not going to make it. You have to be resilient. Like if you knock on a door enough times, eventually the door will open for you, right? You took over the laundry company, the dry cleaners that your family had. It was one at the time.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
I would say about when we first started, it was in 2018, and then I got the other dry cleaners in 2022.
So yeah, so walk me through from 2018. We're now in 2024. We're 6 years later. You started as this kid coming from a council house, living in London. Father just passed away. Had to take over the entire family business, which is one dry cleaners at the time. You said now you own properties in Turkey. You have 2 dry. Walk me through how you got from there to where you are now.
So with the dry cleaners, I didn't at first. It was like a dry cleaners that just picked up and gave and outsourced stuff. So I was thinking to myself, how am I gonna make more money? How am I gonna reduce the costs? So over time, I started making more connections, and then I was working with another dry cleaners that they clean my dry cleaning and so on. And the person that was there that was just pressing my clothes and stuff. I started creating a good conversation with him and everything. And then he wanted to get out of being a worker as well. So I offered him an opportunity saying, why don't we open up a business together? Because you have the experience, which is he's been doing dry cleaning for more than 20 years. And I have like, I'm young. I know the internet. I know like majority of things that he doesn't know. So kind of two experiences put together kind of made the dry cleans, and it benefited both of us because he wanted to create a business and I needed to cut my expenses. So it kind of, if you're going to have a business partner as well, this is a topic that you can talk about. It has to be beneficial for both.
Yeah.
So for me, I get to bring my dry cleaning at a cheaper cost, even though I pay my other business, and he gets more income coming in. So it's kind of like a win-win situation for both of us. So if you have a business partner, that's what I would say is the best thing to do.
Well, that's the thing, right? If you really want to level up and you really want to go to the next levels, people who think they can do it all by themselves just won't, right? Like you need people around you to help you. But on the point of your partnership, was it a 50-50?
It's 50-50, yeah.
So it's interesting because I talk to a lot of business owners and the one thing I'm always told is never get into a 50-50 partnership. Like it should always be 51-49 or something like that. How do you make it work? Who's the primary decision maker? Like who's the final decision maker if you disagree on something?
Well, it depends on the situation. When it's got to do with the labor side, he's got the decision to it. When it's got to do with the financial side and everything, I make the decision. So we talk about it, but at the end of the day, we kind of separate the decisions. So with me, for example, if something needs to be bought, I research cheaper prices, better quality.
And what if you're not happy with his decision or he's not happy with yours?
If it's not, then I kind of find another solution for it, because if we don't agree on something, we need to find another solution. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
So you think having 50-50 partnerships are fine, but as long as you have like things laid out properly?
It's got to do with communication. If you have communication and you understand how the other person operates and how you can talk to them, I would say that's the best thing, because like some people are very heated. With heated people, I can still communicate with them because at the heat of the moment, they won't listen. So you got to kind of lead that conversation. And then when they calm down, then explain the situation and they agree with it more. But at the time, if you try to explain that situation, they're not going to understand it. So I would say that's the best thing, is to know how your business partner acts, like emotionally, more than anything.
No, that's very interesting. And you mentioned obviously communication is very important when running a business, and I would definitely agree. And that actually goes to my next question, which would basically be, what are the 3 most important traits that a business owner needs to run a successful business?
You got to be on top compared to your other competition. So like, for example, with my dry cleaning, the industry is quite old. So what I've noticed is that they don't use a lot of online presence, and they don't know how to use a Google and all of this kind of stuff. So it's kind of being on top of your competition. So
sort of identifying your competitive advantage.
I would say it's competition, but yet not competition.
Healthy competition.
It's healthy competition because everyone, like, for example, we talk about our prices, because we say, for example, if this guy drops the prices too much, like you're dropping it too much, because it's like you're losing out on money.
You all know that the pie is big enough for you to all share, but you want to be the best.
Exactly. I would say online presence is the biggest thing right now to create a successful business.
Yeah.
But also is to have exceptional customer service, because if you don't have customer service when something goes wrong, then the customers are not going to come back. I've had instances where the customer hasn't been happy, but I've managed to talk to them, resolve the issue, and they're still coming back. So it like, just because a negative situation happens doesn't mean that the customer's going to leave. It's just, if you're able to provide a solution for them and they're happy with the solution, they will always come back.
So competitive advantage, customer service, and
if you just wait in the shop and wait for the customers to come through the door, they're not going to come. So you have to go out there and find the customers. So for example, like, we work with this big company, I don't want to disclose their name, and they bring us work every day. But what we did was we contacted them to be partners. So we've been doing that, to become partners. So right now what I'm doing, for example, I'm emailing all these businesses, gyms and hotels and everything, just to kind of offer my business services. So kind of do a day-to-day business to business, because that's where the most revenue is. And even though like some of the dry cleaners that I work with, their customer service isn't good, I still help them out with their customer service that has got to do with the dry cleaning side. And then even if there's a conflict with there, I kind of resolve that issue there. So it's kind of building the relationship with other business owners as well.
Walk me through what the day in the life of Ozzy looks like.
So day in the life of Ozzy is it's very, very long. So I wake up at like 7 o'clock without no alarm, no nothing. My body clock is just...
That's when I go to sleep, so it works out, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I just wake up. And so what I do is, obviously, we get ready in the morning. Then I drop my mum off to my dry cleaners because she's there. She's 60 years old, so it's kind of for her mental health to kind of... She prefers to be at work.
Yeah, of course.
So I'll tell her, look, mum, you can retire, but she doesn't want to do that.
What's she going to do at home, right?
Exactly, and because she's got MS, and her laying down is like, for lockdown we did that, and it kind of...
She needs to be
her muscles kind of just contracted, and like she couldn't walk properly. So it's good for her mental health and her physical health. And then after that, what I do is I go to the other dry cleaners to get all the dry cleaning ready for all the other businesses. And then what I do is I've set up a online email campaign, which is done by AI, and which kind of sends emails every day. So I check that quickly to just make sure that if they've got any replies or anything, and then I double check if I got any mail. And then what I do is I manage the floor. So if I see any stains that happen, I tell them to redo it. If I see like something that hasn't been ironed properly, I just make them iron it again. And then from there, what I do is we pack the dry cleaning, because my business partner, he does the labor side within the shop, so the dry cleaning, the ironing and everything. And what I do is I pack the van, and I do the deliveries and make sure that everything is basically in control. And then I go back to my shop, and then from there I kind of deal with the customers and make sure that, you know, the work has been done properly. Like I check my tailor's work just to make just quality control. With dry cleaning, there's so many little things that normal people don't see that I see. And like also having, like, for example, the numerical number, the way it goes, like people make mistakes on that. You'll be surprised of how many mistakes they make. So like you gotta make sure that everything isn't ordered, otherwise someone's gonna lose their clothes. It's just gonna be an issue, and it's hard to find.
I think that's a really good business philosophy in general to apply, because people don't realize how important these small little tweaks that you can make to your business that can actually allow you to scale. It's like 1% in isolation isn't a big deal, but if you improve on 20 different things that has a 1% improvement, you're improving the efficiency of your business by 20%, right?
Exactly.
People don't realize that. So I think that's very, very interesting. That makes sense. But then tell me, so it pretty much sounds like most of your day is taken up by the dry cleaners business, right? What's your plan for the future? Like, do you see yourself running the dry cleaners business for the next 5, 10, 15 years? What do the next 5 years look like in your mind?
So currently I'm looking for another dry cleaners to open up so that I can kind of have more income coming, then I can get a delivery driver. So recently I've hired someone in my own dry cleaners that I don't have a business partner in, and they run it on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I need to create more businesses, more income.
Yeah.
Because what is that? For example, the one in Stoke Newington, the dry cleaners, in the area there's 5 dry cleaners. I would say in the Eastbourne area there's about 4 dry cleaners. So there's a lot of dry cleaners in the area. So what I'm looking for is kind of something different, which is what I found, I think. So I've just contacted the people, and I'm just waiting for them to hear back. So in the next 5 years, I would say I'm saving up to get into property. So I've already bought a property about 3 months ago, which has been renovated, which is what I'm doing, renovation, and then I'm going to sell it off so I can buy another property. So what my plan is buy another property, sell it, buy, sell, and then eventually when I have money for 3 properties, buy 3 properties, keep one, and then carry on with the 2. So kind of build up the property portfolio so that eventually I can have like a 10 to 15k kind of revenue every month.
You have properties in Turkey right now? How'd you get that? How does that work?
So the first 2 were not really me, but it's kind of my mom. She's been working hard. So what she used to do is she used to stitch clothes, and she's earned 50p per clothes that she stitched. So you can just imagine how much work she... And then eventually it was on my father's name, and then when he passed away, it kind of came onto us, which I don't sell any of my assets because I feel like that's just silly to do.
More value than cash alone,
which
right?
is exactly, because for example, the inflation in Turkey. I remember at the time my mum bought that property for £5,000, which was about 10,000 Turkish liras. Now it's worth about 6 million, which is about maybe 180k in pounds,
Damn.
which is the it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
And then so that's how the two properties came in. And then I bought a property about 2 months ago where I was saving up for my private pension in Turkey, and the opportunity came, and I just took out my private pension, and I had money saved on the side, and I kind of just put it all together. And because in Turkey you can take out private pension, but they cut out a certain percentage. So that's what I did, and I bought the property. The house was worth 1.2 million. Bearing in mind Turkish lira is like £1 is 41 Turkish liras. So I took all the money out, and then I refurbished property. So I bought it for 1 million, and now it's worth about 1.3.
Damn.
So, and now it's just on the market about to be sold. So I'm gonna start doing that slowly, kind of build my portfolio.
So essentially, if I understand correctly, your future plans are basically scaling vertically and horizontally. So you want to increase your asset class, but you also want to scale by opening up more laundrettes. But then how are you able to do all this when you only have 24 hours in a day?
So what I've noticed is that if people have the money into the business, they'll focus on it. So I try to get people involved that are serious about money, and I make sure that they put their money into it. Because if they don't put their money into it, they're not going to chase after it. So it's always good to have people financially invested in something that you're doing. So if they just come and say, I want to be a business partner without anything, then there's no point. So they have to put something financially, and then that's when they'll be kind of doing the work. So that's what I believe is the best way to do it. Because if you do it by yourself, you can't do it. If you want someone to work for you that's going to do it, they're not going to do it as the rate as someone putting their money into it. So I believe the best way is have someone with money, a bit of money to invest in also.
It's quite interesting, right? Because we talk about this a lot, the whole 9 to 5 versus running your own business, entrepreneur versus 9 to 5. And obviously most of our friends from university are all in 9 to 5. Nothing against it. Like,
exactly.
To each their own. Little bit against it. To each their own. But I think the question that I wanted to ask you was, because when we came out of university, right, I remember we were talking about it, and well, your mindset was a little bit different because you were running the business out of necessity, and then, you had to. But at the same time, we were still talking, right? Because I didn't know anything about like that path. I was just thinking, I need to find a job. We were all talking about finding jobs. Out of like maybe 5 of us, 2 of us basically never. Well, I entered the 9 to 5 world and left it. You never bothered entering it, and then our other friends are still just job to job, right? Living average wages, average salaries, not really doing much, but to each their own, right? What are your thoughts on the 9 to 5 versus being an entrepreneur? And do you think that everybody should try and be an entrepreneur?
I don't believe being an entrepreneur is for everybody, because some people they're in this world to rule, and some people are here to be ruled. Because some people, they're not up for that responsibility. So if you're not up for that responsibility, do a 9 to 5.
What do you think it takes?
Like, what it is, you just have to know how to grind. Like, you just need to know, like, I can do it. That's the mindset. I can do it.
But do you not think every human being has a responsibility to themselves to grind?
Not in this current generation. I wouldn't say so.
Why?
Because everyone's so comfortable. Because everyone's got a roof on their head. Majority of obviously our generation is living with their parents.
But just because you're comfortable doesn't equate to fulfillment, right? So shouldn't we be telling more people to stop working 9 to 5s and try and start a business? Do you not think everyone should at least try it one time? Or is it a case of you just think that if someone's not into it, they should just like try and find other interests to enrich themselves?
I would say everyone should give it a go, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's a cool world out here, and there's people that can't take criticism, and like once they fail once, they think, it's done, overdone with. I'm gonna get back to what I need to do. With business, it's like you're gonna fail. You're gonna do strategies that's not gonna get anywhere. So you're gonna be like, this is depressing. So you're just gonna have to get on with it. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah,
they don't have the drive. They don't have the passion for it. And also, I believe it's got to do with the personality as well.
Yeah.
Because some people, they like kind of like a hippie kind of thing. So I believe like I've never seen a hippie type of person that is like proper entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. I mean, we talked to a lot of our friends about it, right? And the thing that I notice is one, so there's two types of people, right? Who don't want to go down the entrepreneurial path. But what I've seen is there's one group of people who make fun of you, right? They take the piss out of you. Like you remember in that group chat when a bunch of guys were talking crap
Yeah.
and I quit, and then they just started talking crap behind my back, and you and one of our other friends told me about it. And it was like, either people crap on you and they say, oh, you think you're too cool, or you're this or you're that. And it's like they get angry that you're trying to level up. And then there's the other group of people who are just like, I'm too scared. I don't think I'm cut out for it. Like, I have security. To the people who make fun of you, it's like the people, those type of people are just like, I don't have time for you. Like, you contribute nothing to my life. Like, time to cut you out. I don't care. Like, I'm trying to become the best version of myself, and I don't have time because those people are petty, jealous, and they're basically, the reason that they crap on you is in reality them just mirroring their own insecurities because they're not able to take that leap. They're scared. And then to the people who say, oh, like, you don't have security, I think that's a huge misconception. Like, that's a myth. Like, you don't have security in a 9 to 5 though. Like, you can get sacked at any second. So this idea that you have security working for someone else who cuts your check, that's not security either. So I don't understand it. I agree with you. I don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur, but I also don't agree with the concept that people should be happy to just be comfortable throughout their lives. Because I don't think we as human beings, I don't think it is our purpose. I don't think it's our duty to be comfortable. Like, life is not about being comfortable. Life is not about being happy, right? It's about just leveling up and being the best version of yourself. And I think people don't follow that enough. But I mean, going on to the point of fulfillment, what fulfills you?
So what fulfills me is that, so I work hard, I make my money, and at the end of the day, I've got my partner that I can go with next to, and my family. It's just, because I'm a family-oriented person, so as long as I know my family is good, I'm good. That's what fulfills me, and knowing that I have a future. So if I know that, because my goal is to kind of retire when I'm like 45.
Okay.
So I need to do what I need to do until then and fulfill what I need to fulfill, because I know after 45 I don't want to be working no more. Even though I'll be doing like properties here and there and stuff, but
What do you want to do after 45 then?
so after 45, obviously take care of my children, which I plan to have in the future. Family is very important, even though you can have like arguments and not talk to them, but I just still think like it's the most important thing because no one has you apart from your family.
I agree. Family's everything. On the point of being an entrepreneur, what's the biggest mistake that you've made on your journey so far?
It's like you have friends that want to do business, right? And then you try to get into business with them and you give them opportunities and it just doesn't work out and they still try to come to you with opportunities. So I've done that a few times and it just failed all the time. So what I tell my friends that want to get into business, I was like, look, I'm giving you 2 chances only. Don't waste my time. If it doesn't work, don't come to me with business ideas again.
You're too nice. Why 2 chances?
Because the first time, like with my friend, for example, he had another business and then he was trying to set up another business, but because of other family decisions inside the business, kind of the business went bankrupt. So while he was about to do that, that kind of hit. So he kind of stopped being what he needed to do. So kind of, it depends on the situation, I would say, more than anything.
At what point did you look at your business and think of it as like, yeah, okay, I'm successful now?
But when I first started my business, it was basically barely breaking even. And like, I thought as soon as I started tripling my revenue and managed to open up another dry cleaners, at the age of 25, a lot of people cannot do that. I know it's not a big scale, but it's still good compared to what I see around me. Because,
Perspective, right?
Yeah, perspective-wise. Like, obviously, there's like that 1% that does, that's 25 that makes 30, 40K a month. But you just got to be realistic. The people around me, I haven't seen anybody that's 25 and done what I've done so far. Yeah. So I don't want to be comparing myself to other people, but I see what other people are doing and I see people's parents that are my age. I'm making more money than what their parents are making, which is kind of cool, but it's kind of humbling at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
how do you avoid the complacency? How do you avoid complacency kicking in? Because if you're in this position right now where you're making more money than most of your friends around you, you're making more money than your friends' parents around you, how do you stop yourself from becoming complacent? Or rather, Have you hit complacency before? And if so, how have you navigated through it?
I have before, but this happened when I was working for someone else. I was 16 at the time. I was working 25 hours a week, and I was making £1,000 a month, which I was just spending like nothing.
Yeah.
But when you come from, when we was at uni the first year when we met, I was living off £30 a week. That develops your character. So I believe that, so what happens is that because of the £30 a week, that kind of humbled me to not make those type of decisions. So even if I make a lot of money, I still feel like I'm not going to spend a lot of money because I'm a person that likes budgeting.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends say, even though like you don't like spending money, I spend money, but in a good way. For example, if I'm buying something, I'll do research and I'll find a good quality and a decent price. And people come to me saying, can you look this for me? Because you find good prices with good qualities. So that's what I kind of do. So I've just been humble since I started off with £30 a week.
For someone at home watching right now, who wants to become an entrepreneur, wants to start their own business, what would be the advice that you would give them to get started? Like, would you ask them, because you have multiple businesses, right? Should someone at home watching this be like, okay, I need to open multiple businesses from the start as well? What would you recommend to them?
So I would say is start off with one. So let me give an example. If you have 10 rabbits that you're chasing, you're not going to catch any of them. So if you start chasing one and you catch one, then you can focus on the second one and you can catch that one.
I like that.
So eventually you can just catch all of it. So just start off with one, focus on one, and then eventually it will come to you. Like along the way, like because of what you experience, your ideas change, your mindset changes. So it will come to you eventually.
What if they chase that one thing and it doesn't work? Do they keep pushing or do they just give up and move on to something else? Someone starts selling on Amazon, right? They do Amazon FBA for like 2 months and they don't make any money. Would you tell them to like quit and try something else? Or
if that's the only thing that they're doing, then it's a bit, they're risking everything into it.
No, but I'm saying from the vantage of, see, like what I would say to that is you need to stick to something for at least 6 months, right?
Yeah, I would agree, yeah.
And like I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed, I mean, myself, I was guilty of this, right? Is shiny object syndrome. A lot of people start something and then the next big thing comes along and crypto's blowing up. So everyone goes to crypto and then trading blows up and then everyone goes to trade and then e-com blows up and everyone goes to e-com. And it's like, do you think it's healthy for people to keep trying to find what's best? Or do you think that like every business model works?
I wouldn't say every business model works, but I would say like the boring businesses is what makes the money.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I was listening to a podcast the other day about Jason Derulo having a car wash subscription.
Yeah, he's killing it.
He's killing it. Like that's a boring business, but it makes money. So what you have to, I believe, like you have a boring business, but make it new. Like that car wash subscription. No one has thought about that.
Yeah.
It's not in the UK, is it?
No,
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Because it's a bit expensive, but
I'm
sure you can do it.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do it. Find a boring business and
copy it.
Yeah. But add your bits into it.
Yeah.
That's how what most businesses do. For example, like even Apple, before that it was like BlackBerry, and then from there it came iPhones came. Yeah. So it's always copying the same concept but making it different.
Yeah.
That's what the best way is to do it.
It's true. People like at school you're taught don't copy. Like cheating is copying. But it's like that's business. Like that is business. Take something that works, add something to it, and just do it. Like that is literally the key to business. Find something and copy it. Crypto is blowing up right now. You know, lots of people are talking about crypto. Have you got any?
I did have it, but then I decided to sell it.
Why?
Because
it's booming right now, mate.
It's booming, but it can burst again. So it's like crypto is good. I still have a bit on the side, but not much.
Do you think people watching this should invest into crypto?
Well, if they do that, they need to do their research first. If they conclude that it's gonna do well, then do it. But if not, then don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the one thing I would add to that as well is, don't just buy crypto if you have £500 sitting in the bank. Like invest that into a skill. Go buy a mentorship. Go buy a course. Like you're not going to make any money with £500 in crypto. Like focus on skills. Focus on things that'll give you monthly cash flow. Like people get too FOMO into this whole crypto thing. Like, yeah, if you have a couple $100 grand, if you have money to lose and play with, yeah, obviously put it in, but don't waste your money if you're at the start of your journey because you think you're going to be the next millionaire. Because I'm sorry to burst your bubble, you won't. You just won't. Like, it's a 1 out of a million people will get that lucky hit, but most won't. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the money to play with, don't do it.
Trading, but long-term trading, so like the SP 500 and all of this, like you can invest into that. But if you have money, like for example, what I do is, I know it's not a lot, but I invest £5 a day to the trading, and I'm up by like what 20% at the current moment, which is quite good, and because it averages out on a daily basis of £5, which is like what, like £150 a month, which is not much. It's not gonna hurt my pocket, but with the compounding interest and everything, and with the dividends, you at least make, by the time you retire, at least make like 500, 600,000 pounds from what, £5 a day. You just spend on what, a coffee or something, and it's already gone. So that £5 not going to affect you on a day-to-day basis.
It's true. It's very, very true. People need to definitely think about it from that perspective more.
Like, I see a lot of business people making millions and millions, but like, actually, yeah, I do. Do. There's this guy called Jamal Polat. He's Turkish, but he's an entrepreneur. He has like a few cafes. He's got a construction consulting company, and he also does a construction. And also he started to do his help radiology with NHS.
What, like, you know him personally?
I know him personally.
Oh, is it?
Basically, my mum was telling a story about him and saying that basically his mum would be working in the factory with my mum, and what they'll do is after school they'll start like. For example, if she was stitching the lining of the arm, she'll just leave it like that, and then they'll come take the arm out and just kind of. So they kind of did it as a family, and now that he's so successful, so every time if I ask him how can I improve my business, he will always give me ways to do it, and he'll just be like, just do it straight away.
What are your thoughts on having mentors and coaching programs?
Yeah, I believe having a mentor is good, but find the right mentor is the key thing, because everyone can say, I can be your mentor, I could be your mentor, but...
I agree with you completely, right? Like, don't just go out there and splash your money on anyone or anything. But there's this common myth out there that courses and communities and mentorships and all these taboo words are scams, right? When people say this to me, the thing that I say to them is, did you go clubbing on the weekend? Yes. How much did you spend at the club? £250. Okay. How many times a month do you go clubbing? 5. Okay, so you've spent over £1,200 on nightclubs a month. Yes. So if you can spend that much on nightclubs, why can't you spend £750 into your own education? Even if it doesn't work out, if you take one thing away from that, you're making yourself a net positive, right? But yeah, the point that I'm basically making is, a mentor is somebody who will fast track your success. You still have to learn, you still have to put in the work, you still have to go through endurance, you still have to suffer. But the reality is, if you get a mentor, they will stop you from making all the mistakes that they've made. So again, it goes back to the whole point of at school, you're taught not to copy people. But in real life, it's all about learning and copying other people and being ready to fail and learn. But a mentor will just reduce the amount of failures that you have. So I definitely think if you want to get into dry cleaning, sign up to OzzyDryCleaners.com. Link in the comments.
.co.uk.
Sorry, .co.uk. Looking back at your whole business journey since you started with the dry cleaners company to now, right? For someone watching who's about to start their own business, right? Over the last 5 years of your own business experience, what are the 3 biggest mistakes that you've made through your journey that you could stop a beginner from making if they were to start today?
At first, I was because going out to find doing sales and finding customers, that's what I was struggling with the most, and I was scared to go out and do something, and that's what my biggest mistake was. But then after I met my business partner, I saw him what he was doing, then I kind of went into it as well, and there was nothing to be scared about.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I would change, is that if you're scared about something, just do it. You got nothing to lose, because obviously I don't have nobody backing me.
Yeah.
I don't have like a father figure to be backing me. I'm close to my brother, but he's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of by myself. So me trying to do that, it's just like, it's scary, but you got to do what you got to do.
Who else is going to do it for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's something people have to realize, right? Like, when you're starting your own business, when you're looking to become the best version of yourself, when you're looking to level up, You have to do things that are scary. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations because life is about leveling up. And in order to level up and learn, you have to get out of these uncomfortable situations. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself into them first, right? You have to experience them. And like he said, like Ozzy said just now, what you have to be scared about, like going on knocking on some doors to make some sales, like no one cares, like no one cares. You have this idea in your head, oh, people are gonna think I'm dumb and this and that, like no one cares. Like just focus on yourself and don't care about the noise around you. At the end of the day, no one cares about your success, so why would anyone care about your failures? It goes both ways, right? So I definitely agree with you on that. What are 2 other mistakes that you could help new entrepreneurs prevent from making at the start?
Trying to do everything by yourself. That's the most important thing I would say.
So scare hiring people.
Hiring people. But obviously you need to make money to hire people. My close friend, he was telling me, you need to hire someone. I wasn't listening to him because I felt like people couldn't do what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I kind of gave at the point where I couldn't handle the demand, so I had to hire someone.
You have to be, but I thought about that too, and it's like, you have to just accept to relinquish control, right? Like you have to accept that somebody else will maybe operate at 60% of your 100, but even though they're operating at 40% less capacity, your time is now freed up to build up the business anyway. So even if this is 60%, you've now got a new income stream that you wouldn't have been able to do if you were at 100%.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. That's what I would say is the most important. One of the most important things for business is being able to delegate. If you can't delegate, then it's gonna be difficult for you. You're just gonna either be a really small business and not being able to scale, or it's just gonna. It's not gonna end up well.
Yeah. Look, this idea of being a solopreneur, like it's BS. The only solopreneurs that work are freelancers or contractors in major organizations. Otherwise, you need a team. You need a network. You need to find like-minded people to actually level up. That's the only way. That's the main way to actually take yourself to new heights. And you also learn a lot more.
But that is hard to find those type of people because people, they have the 9-to-5 mindset. So it's very hard to find that kind of people.
You just need to change your environment.
Yeah.
You need to get out of where you are. That's the thing I would say. I would say it's only as hard as you allow it to be. So, okay, it's difficult, but that's also because if you look at your situation, you've been in the same the same area for like your whole life. So it's very hard to extract yourself with the commitments that you have, right? But now we live in a world of an internet. There's networking groups out there. There's all these things. Like you have to do it. Like you said, you got to get uncomfortable again.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to get uncomfortable to take yourself to that next level, because even in business, you'll hit a certain plateau. You'll hit a certain point where you're there and you can get comfortable again. Like you can get comfortable in 9 to 5. You can also get comfortable in your business. And that's why it's not just focusing on money. You have to focus on, like, you have to understand yourself. What will allow me to reach fulfillment? What will enrich my life? What will make me a better individual in every facet of life, which is what it's all about, right?
So at first, when I first got my business, basically the person's husband was still working for us, and we kind of, because he knew the business, because I knew nothing about this business, bearing in mind I went in like straight up in the deep end. Like I was struggling at first, so it was him. I was relying on him. But I would say is know what you need to do beforehand a little bit. Like research, have the skills for it. If you don't, then it's just going to be very, very difficult for you. You're going to struggle like I did, but I eventually did it. But I knew about tailoring a little bit because of my dad and my mum. But the rest, I didn't have a clue about it.
No, I agree. I think it's one of my mentors taught me this. It's like, focus on the learning and the money will come. If you focus purely on the cash, then you don't know about the skills that you're able to actually acquire that will generate you that cash. But if you focus on learning and you just focus on learning and becoming a more educated and a higher valued individual, the money will just start to come. Like it's inevitable, because it's directly proportionate. You know, the value you provide literally equates to the amount of money you'll be paid. So I definitely think that's important. And final thing, what is the most important bit of advice that you would give to a new entrepreneur, to a young person watching this and they want to quit their 9 to 5 and they want to start a job, but they don't know how? What is the biggest bit of advice that you could give to them?
I would say is that people say spend a lot of money or open up a business and so on. I wouldn't advise that, because at the end of the day, if you're going to quit your 9 to 5, you're not going to have a lot of money. So start something that has low cost. Because if it has low cost, like, you won't lose out a lot. But if you're trying to go into like a big business, like for example, wholesaling, straight away importing the bulk.
Okay, let's rephrase then. Let's say for someone with no money.
No money.
Like a kid who's working a 9 to 5, they really want to start their own business. They're tired of the rat race. They want to get out. They want to start their own business. What is the most important bit of advice that you could give them to get into it?
My parents did a 9 to 5 and they managed to buy 3 properties in Turkey. So if they need to save some sort of money. So my advice would be is kind of work a little bit to your 9 to 5, save a bit of money that you're willing to risk. And then go from there. Because I've seen a lot of people, what they say is have 6 months worth of emergency funds, and then from there, just do what you need to do.
Yeah, I would say it's down to every individual, right? So what I would say to you, if you want to start your own business, you want to quit your 9 to 5, is first you need to identify who you are as an individual. You need to ask yourself what you want from life. You need to ask yourself what you want financially and what you want from a business vantage point. Once you've done that, you need to identify a business model that you want to pursue, that you think your skills are tailored for, and then you need to double down and stick on it. You're not going to quit your job though. What you're going to do is you're going to allocate a couple of hours every single day and all of Saturday and Sunday to this business. You're going to work on it. You're going to work on it. You're going to work on it until you see success. The second you start to see some success, depending on your financial situation, depending on what motivates and drives you, you will then adapt accordingly. And if maybe you do need that push and you have 1 month of reserves and you want that, that dive, or you can live with your parents and still operate, quit your job and go into it. Otherwise, in most situations, like he said, make sure you have a buffer, have those 6 months of savings, be financially astute, and then quit once you're in that position where financially you're ready and you know what you're doing with your business. That's what I would say.
Yeah, basically, which you've put into better terms.
Nah, there was thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Ozzy. We really do appreciate it. If you guys want to follow him, we've got the link in the description below. My Instagram and Twitter are also in the description below. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next week.